We can talk about the complexity of it forever, but for here, simple is best, especially when we're talking about changing the mind to how it likes to work best. And so when we talk about theories like metacognition, it's a giant fancy word. I think it was coined in the 70s. Psychology's been talking about metacognition since psychology's been a thing. And if we really want to trace back what metacognition is and where it started, it was 2,400 years ago in Greece, probably with Plato or Aristotle or Socrates. These are the greats that were like, your brain is doing things. Become aware of what you're thinking. Think about your own thoughts reflexively. Start asking these questions like, why am I thinking this right now? You can be in your thoughts, and that's really triggering and hard, and oh, you're wrapped up in your own thinking, or you can be above your thoughts. And that's metacognition. You're sort of looking down on your own thought process. It's not always easy to implement. Hopefully, we'll explain it easily. When you want to focus on what's good in your mind, you're priming your whole mind to look for what's good in your life. Seek out what's good. Seek out what's going to take you to the places that you want to go. But that's not usually how we approach our mind. We approach our minds by what's not good first, which is kind of interesting. So take the example of somebody who's trying to lose weight. Their mind is going to be consistently spinning the idea of, I have to lose weight, I have to lose weight, I have to lose weight. And when they say that, like, being 10 to 20 pounds over the weight that they prefer is not good for them, the mind sort of fixates on that. And they start spinning a ton of thoughts around, it's not good, it's not good, I need to lose weight, it's not good. And it creates this whole narrative in their mind. So they've really focused very narrowly on what's not good for them. So it just takes this whole string of thoughts and just pushes them in one direction. Contrast that with the same person who says, okay, it might be 10 to 20 pounds heavier than what I'd prefer. And so you ask them, well, what's good about the direction you want to go? They're like, well, I would feel so much lighter in my body. I would feel better in my clothes. I would feel more spry and light and confident. And you see their face light up when they start talking about what's good for them. And then sort of challenge them like, well, why don't you focus on what's good then? And at first the mind goes, well, I can't focus on what's good because I'm not there yet. Because I'm trying to get towards that goal. In order to get to that goal, and here's the switch, I have to focus on what's not good to get to what is good. But the problem is the thoughts that are attached to what's not good for somebody come at a very heavy toll. They come with a lot of what if scenarios. They come with a lot of anxiety. They come with a lot of, what if I don't meet my goal? Then what happens? I'm going to be a failure. I can't even lose 10 pounds. We've all had these thoughts that just drag us into the not good. It's a depth that's kind of hard to climb yourself out of. And so we're more attracted to what's not good, the negative side of our brain, because it feels like it's easier to control somehow.
Yeah, I think so many of us, it's what's familiar to chew on what's not working, what's not working. It's a form of connection, it's a form of familiarity, and it's just what people naturally gravitate towards. And the conversation that we're inviting people to get curious about today is becoming the observer in all of that, number one. And then number two, learning how to redirect their thoughts into the highest outcome possible, not from a place of delusion, but from a place of intuitive intelligence that will naturally open up the floodgates for their reality to then reflect those positive thoughts.
I'm really grateful you said not in delusion, because this is a sticking point for a lot of people as they start to learn about their thoughts. You've heard probably a lot more these days, like toxic positivity or being
Mhm.
delulu or something like that. And so, those are really, sorry, not toxic positivity, but the delulu stuff is kind of fun because it's asking you to imagine what's best case scenario. There are people out there who would hear that and say, like, that's not accurate. That's not the way the world works. You're being delusional. What do you think we do with comments like that, where somebody's trying to aim at the good? They're trying to aim at where they want to go, forsaking all else. Like they're saying, I'm just not going to focus on what's negative anymore. I'm just not going to focus on the bad. And then somewhere along the line, they get called delusional or bypassing or something like that.
Yeah.
It's a tough space. I mean, these
Yeah. Well, I'm seeing it visually right now, like, the people that just run around in circles, circle after circle after circle of their own same thought loop, complaining about the same things day after day, again and again. I'm sure we can all bring a person like that to mind. And then there's the people that are on this trajectory that's just skyrocketing upwards. And those people who I've come across are the ones that just have blinders up to all the BS out there and they're just like shooting for the moon and they reach it. And part of that is focusing on the highest and really bringing some of that Delulu thinking with them.
Mhm. That's why in the quest for an intuition mindset, to build up your own metacognitive abilities to perceive your intuition, focusing on what's good for you is such a key component of that because your intuition wants to speak to you through what's good and what's best for you. When other people hear about what's good for you, they might be the ones to come in and say it's delusional. They might be the ones to come in and say it's impossible and it'll never work. But to the person who's identified what's good for them, they're like, I don't care what you think. You can have all of your commentary on this. I know what's good and best for me. And what's good and best for me is that vision and going in that direction. And so it's at that point that the blinders sort of get installed based on that thought. Because at that point, once the person has identified, this is at the core of what's good for me, their intuition helps them identify it. Sky's the limit with the direction that they need to go. Everybody who's had some major vision that they just knew was theirs to pull into the world, they had to have blinders because this world is incredibly distracting and there's no shortage of people who are out to tell you you're doing it wrong.
Mm,
Those people are everywhere.
mhm,
So intuition always helps us identify what's good and what's best for us individually. It's such an individual thing. And that's what the part that I think most people miss is that you get this intuitive vision and immediately we start going around our environment asking people for permission. Like, "Oh, I just got this intuitive vision. This is the direction I wanna go. Is it okay? Is somebody gonna tell me how to do this?" It's like, "No. No, your intuition is what's designed to mentor you along the way each and every step, but permission's not gonna come with this part."
mhm. Yeah, I don't know if you find this to be true for you, but for me personally, the more crazy things I do, the less I tell people until I'm, like, on the plane. As we're humans, and when someone starts to instill doubt into us, we're gonna absorb it, and so it's definitely an invitation to be super intentional about who you hang out with and who you share your precious, precious dreams with that aren't fully baked because it takes um, a particularly evolved person to help hold that vision in such a light, pure way with you in a way that won't distort it or won't bring up any of their subconscious beliefs and project those onto you.
Yeah. And that's there's this quote that says, "How do you know you're on how do you know you're on your own path?" And it's because the path in front of you disappears. If you had the path in front of you, it means you're literally on somebody else's path. And so it's so interesting that when you do get the identification of what's good and what's best for you, your intuition will always show you what that is. The next step is, uh-oh, nobody's done this before. That can be an unnerving place where we would want to seek out the comfort from people around us. And just exactly as you said, make sure that you surround yourself with people that can hold your bananas vision. And they start to say things like, I believe in you. I trust that you know what you're doing. I absolutely know how intuitive and instinctual you are. Even if it's cloudy right now, you're going to figure it out. Those are the types of things that we need to be pouring into others when they start to identify and follow what's good and what's best for them. I wish a lot more of our society knew that that was what was most needed. I think sometimes we get distracted with trying to be the I don't know, trying to be the wise ones and just projecting, as you said, like, "Oh, that sounds kinda risky." Like, of course it's risky. Walking outside's risky. Do it anyways.
Yeah. Yeah, choose your risk. And so with this concept of metacognition and thinking about thinking, becoming the observer, choosing your thoughts intentionally and redirecting your mind, would you say the first step is really observing what thoughts aren't good for you or aren't serving you or kind of blocking that intuition skyrocket, we'll call it?
Absolutely. And this is where that metacognitive principle that we talked about is it's what is not good for you, what is not best for you versus what is good for you and is best for you. Most people are going to have a very hard time identifying what's good and best cold turkey. You know, that actually takes quite a bit of practice. So the advice is to start with what you know doesn't work for you, for anybody. We know that distractions are not good for us. Why? Because it pulls you off of what you're designed to do. So if for somebody who's starting their metacognitive observation of their thoughts, what thoughts are not good for me? Distracted thoughts. Perfect. Write that down. Then every time you start to engage in a distracting thought pattern or distracting habit, you've primed your brain to say, hey, ping, you're doing something that you identified as not good for you. Perfect. At that point, you're just one step closer to what is good for you. The next thing that I find is generally accepted, this is not good for us, criticism. Criticism, woof, is very hard to deal with. Self criticism shuts down your genius, shuts down your intelligence, shuts down your willingness to even try. Couple that with criticisms from others, that's a lot. We're designed to want to seek validation and feel accepted in a group. So when the group is criticizing us, when we're criticizing us, those are thoughts that are going to shut down what's good. So, second thing we'd put on that metacognitive list, what's not good for us or what's not good for me, the individual, criticisms. So, good. We've got distractions, we've got criticisms. And the second that you start engaging with, or receiving in this case, criticisms, you go, oh, that's not good for me. Blinders. So, little by little, every single time somebody identifies what's not good for them, you're priming the brain to say, hey, you said that's not good for you. You said that's preventing you from getting the good in your life. Stop engaging with that. And all the best visionaries, I think, at least had to start there. Distractions and criticisms, because there's no shortage of those out there for a visionary mind.
Yeah, I'd probably add control and doubt.
What would you add in terms of control? How might that show up in somebody's mind?
I would add for control when I feel like I'm trying to micromanage a situation and take action based on scarcity, fear, not trusting that it will work out. When I notice that I'm in trying to control a situation, I'll just step way back and become the observer of that and give it tons of space because when I'm in control, I feel very almost like hovering over the situation and that's just never good versus oh then leaning way back, it allows it to fall and just creates a lot of space around the situation and more room for aligned action and ideas or clarity to come in around that.
Yeah, that's a really self-intelligent thought to recognize, oh, I'm totally trying to control the process here. Anytime we try to force something into being and try to control it, we're actually saying this thing will not happen on its own.
Mhm.
Sometimes that's
It will.
yeah, exactly. Sometimes it absolutely will happen on its own. There's a few nuances here that are worth calling out. When you're in a stage of your life and you need to get something going, right? Let's say you're in a particularly stagnant period of your life. Control and trying to push something forward may seem like the exact same thing. So, in order to get momentum going, you do have to engage in something, try something new, see if it starts to collect momentum on its own. see if it feels good that you want to keep engaging with it. And then at some point, that motivation shifts and it turns to this sort of obsessive pushing it forward at all costs. Now I'm beating my head against the wall. And here's where emotional intelligence comes in. What are you feeling? So, for the type of control or something getting going that wouldn't start on its own, that tends to come with the emotions of excitement, exploration. No, those aren't emotions, those are feelings. But it tends to come with this happiness of I'm trying something new. I'm working myself out of stagnation. How much fun is this? I'm getting it going. Sure, there's a little bit of resistance. You're trying something new. You're scared. No big. But where it shifts and turns into micromanaging control and sort of that obsessive loop that we're trying to pick out here is frustration. Is powering through. You're starting to get angry with the process. You're getting angry with yourself. You're getting more and more angry with the world. Very key indicators here. It's the anger that fuels this thing. That's when you're starting to dip a little bit too close into the micromanaging control of this. This isn't working, so I'm just going to force it in versus the type of initiatory momentum of I'm just going to try this and see what happens. And I'm going to push it and push it and push it. The second that it gets frustrating, my body's telling me something. I need to take a step back and try a new approach. Because we talked about in an earlier podcast about the emotion of frustration, that it actually does shut down your ability to think clearly. And too much frustration in the mind shuts down your creativity and access to many creative options. So I hope I painted that picture clearly to discern the difference between that initiation start of things versus powering through at all costs, especially at the cost of your intelligence and genius.
It's not to say that there won't be trials along the way and to just throw up your hands and give up, but what we're offering today is really shifting the mindset around it is the only thing you have to do. You don't have to abandon ship or give up the second it gets hard. Like, that's not what we're saying. It's how you hold it and how you frame it and how you're aiming, would you say?
Absolutely. Absolutely. I think we can add another thing to our not good list. It would be trying to power through frustration, trying to power through a pressured mind when the mind is like, I'm out. I need a break. I need to step back from this for a second. We're like, no, must keep going forward. Once I put that on the not good list, we say, hey, brain, let me know when I'm starting to try and control this thing and mangle it. That's not
Mhm.
good for me anymore. It shuts down my creativity. It shuts down my genius, and I just don't want to do it anymore.
Yeah, and it does, it fuels the stagnation, and so how would you suggest that someone takes the noble journey in switching into that kind of highest outcome thinking and positivity and this is gonna happen, watch me type of mindset?
Type of motivated grit, the type
Yeah.
of grit that's super excited to be alive.
Yeah, and the one that is, like, repellent towards the doubt, the distractions, the criticism, like, it's so nice. It's like this bubble of protective, highest vibe energy in pursuit of your goal, which is just a lot nicer of a journey to take in the pursuit of creating what you want. It's like you can go either way. One's gonna be a lot more quick and a lot easier, a lot more fun, a lot more supported, and one's gonna be like, every step of the way, and so it's like, how do we switch over to the one that's that kind of streamlined towards the intuition-led thoughts and highest outcome?
Yeah, I to get super duper duper simple with this, because matters of the mind rarely seem simple, especially when we're trying to talk about it and peel off the mysteries of the universe. If you were to create a life of focusing only on your good, only on what's good for you, not only are you more connected to your intuition mindset, but you're more connected with that trajectory and vision where you get to have the blinders of like, I've already tried the frustration route. I've already tried trying to control everything. I've already tried beating myself into submission and listening to all the criticisms of people around me who are not even trying to do the same thing that I am. I've done all of that and I've identified it's just not good for me. Great. Stop doing those things. Stop engaging with what's not good for you. And then you flip it over and you're like, what is good for you? And at first the mind's like, because you have to take everything that's not good and flip it to what would be good. Okay. If controlling and doubting thoughts are not good for me, what is good? What would you say?
Trust.
Yeah. Trust in what?
Trust in yourself, trust in the universe, trust in it going better than you can expect.
Yeah, and the universal good that comes with all of that. Perfect. And then we identified frustration is not good. Powering through at all costs is not good. What is good?
Flow,
What else?
receptivity.
Ah, that's cool. Yeah. And frustration's not good for my mind, but focus is. Every time, this is for me too, especially, this is so true in my life. Every time I feel focused, I feel in flow. And that's just a magical feeling. Also requires a lot of blinders towards distraction, away from distraction. Talking about distractions on the not good list, what is good? Focus, being around people that nurture the vision, that don't try to distract me from what I know I'm supposed to be doing.
Mhm.
What we're talking about in this good list that we're trying to identify here is you're creating right conditions for yourself. And the second that you create right conditions for yourself, you create right conditions for your mind. You create a lot more observation of, is this working for me? You do become so much more in tune with your own inner spirit. So to demystify anything with intuition as being mystical, it is, it also isn't. But the matters of you and feeling connected to your own spirit, that's when all kinds of magic happens for you. And so the more that you create the conditions of what's good, you create better conditions for you to stay connected to your inner spirit. You create better conditions for you to hear your inner mentor slash your intuition every single step.
Yeah, and I'll add to that list,
Yeah.
another one is allowing the desires to really land and allowing yourself to really feel them, because so often we can think about our desires mentally and just think about them, think about what we want, but we don't allow ourselves to actually feel it in your body, which is what will ultimately create you to be a match for your desire as well, and allow that to fully land and allow you to be in alignment with that desire, and it just feels good, thinking about what you want. One of the reasons people are quick to block themselves from focusing on what's good and from claiming what they desire is for fear that it won't happen.
You know what's so interesting about that point is that that's literally the reason why most people don't write down their goals. You write down your goal, you're simultaneously writing down how you could fail. That's a raw deal that people will totally avoid.
Yeah.
Do you write down your goals?
Yes. Yes, I
Do
do.
Did you always write down your goals?
I started writing them down. I still remember in 2018, I was at a job that I did not like. I found some exercise and some self-development book that I was reading at the time about visioning your life 6 months from now, and so I did, and I went pretty bold, like, I am studying, wellness, nutrition, yoga on another continent, and I'm in, a wellness-focused job, and live abroad, and, like, really kind of wild dreams that I don't even know if I had consciously, and 6 months later, I had quit that job, gotten a sublet on my apartment, was living in London, was studying and, like, all of that happened. I was like, "Whoa."
Mm.
And that was and I don't think I made that connection until maybe 2 years after that when I was going through old things and I saw that I had written this 6-month future vision down, and then it happened to the T, and I was like, "Huh, maybe there's something to this."
What do you think happens with people when they write down their goals and they don't happen?
I would say that frustration,
Why is that?
because they've allowed themselves to be vulnerable and to claim their desire, and then it doesn't happen in the timeline that I think it's supposed to happen, and then it feels like a little of that frustration, hopelessness, confusion,
And
but
which at that point becomes a spiral of not good, right?
Right, and so and I think, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think part of the point of what we're getting at is stay the course. It's time to continue to focus on the goal, on the highest, best possible case scenario, and not dip into the doubts and that frustration.
Absolutely. And doubt is such an interesting concept. It's not an emotion. It's like a constellation of thoughts that all center around this one idea. And that one idea is, what if I'm wrong? Doubt is super strange because it dresses itself up like critical thinking. It dresses itself up in trying to be logical. It dresses itself up as prudence sometimes, or trying to be wise. So doubt's a shapeshifter in the brain. And I always just think, um, what do I always say about doubt? Sometimes critical thinking is just doubt dressed up in a fancy dinner jacket.
Yes. Oh, especially for us girlies who love to analyze everything and figure everything out.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's not critical thinking, that's doubt.
And it's a constellation of thoughts that's centered around one idea, usually an idea that we got when we were pretty young. What if you're wrong?
Mhm.
And so doubt just layers itself on vision after vision after vision. So for anybody who's trying to identify what's good for them, and maybe what's good for them is I make $10,000 a month in my entrepreneurial venture. Maybe what's good for me is always having a trip planned so I always have something to look forward to. What if it's um, what's really good for me is always staying very inspired so I always feel very creative. And you write those things down and you name them as your good. Doubt will come in and tease you a little bit and will say, what if you're wrong? So if we can put doubt back on that not good list, that's such a metacognitive principle. Hey, brain, let me know when doubt's starting to show up and starting to push me around a little bit in my thoughts. Let me know when I'm starting to listen to other people's doubts that's dressed up like critical thinking. Let me know when I'm overanalyzing everything, because all of those things I've written down is not good for me. And if you need reasons why doubt isn't good for you, I mean, there's tons of them, because it makes me doubt myself, because it makes me pull out of my vision, because it makes me ignore my desires, because it makes me super frustrated with myself and listening to everybody else before I listen to what my own inner mentor is saying. So, yeah, put doubt on that not good list as quickly as possible.
Do you have an example? Because I feel like most people can identify with, like, "Oh, yeah, like, I can see how that just sucks and is not serving me in any way." But can you think of an example of when you were able to shift out of that doubt-filled mind and you tried on that kind of laser focus, "This is where I'm going," and just had that vision of positivity and it worked?
Kind of a personal story. Doubt plagued my mind, and it had rooted itself into some very tricky thoughts about how it works, so that I stopped recognizing that it was doubt. So I wasn't able to get to my laser focused vision until I had wrestled doubt as much to the ground as I could. Because if we were to look at the emotion that's connected with doubt, it's fear. Plain and simple, just your garden variety fear. What if I'm wrong? What if I make a mistake? What if nobody likes it? Whatever. Fear's a mind killer. It shuts down the mind. It shuts down creativity. It shuts down our intuition. So, to answer your question with an example of that from my own life, I really wasn't able to get to my laser focused vision until I had said, I am not going to follow fear and doubt anymore. And that took tons and tons of practice, because I was asking my mind, hey, mind, I need you to let me know every time that I'm about to listen to fear. Please let me know every time that I'm about to listen to doubt. And like I said, simple concepts, not easy.
And so what rewards did you reap from doing that?
When you learn the language of fear in your own brain and how it shows up, then you're like, ha ha, I see you, fear. I see what you're trying to push me into. I see that you're trying to get me to take that bait again. You actually start to feel a lot more confident in your ability to think clearly. It's metacognition again. When you say, I've learned fear's tricks in my brain, I know how fear talks to me, I know what it accuses me of, and I'm not going to listen to it. You start to gain a little bit more confidence. And it's at that point that we can put confidence is on our good list. When I feel confident, I know that's good for me. And when am doing the things that I know that are good for me, then I get to get closer to my intuition and to that laser focused vision. So, in all of this, if we were to say which list is more important to focus on at first, people would say focus on the good first. I actually say focus on what's not good as much as you can because it'll train your brain to notice every single time that you're engaging in the familiar thought patterns that are not going to work for you anymore.
Or I would say become aware of what's not good, right?
Yeah.
Like, maybe not focus on it.
Yeah.
Focus
And
on it.
that's, that's it. In this whole practice, just as we said, it's important to write down your goals. It's really important to write down what's not good for you. There's a lot of research to say that when you actually write something with your hand and your eyes see it and you write it down on paper, there's some neurocognitive slash magical thing that happens with your brain. Write down what's not good for you. Write down what's not working for you. It will help you identify so much more quickly the things in areas of your life or even the people in your life that are dragging you into what's not good.
Mhm,
And then at that point, at least you have a choice. That's not good for me. Oh, crap. Now I have a choice. Do I continue to engage with it?
mhm.
You might, but now at least you have that awareness, just as you said. You don't have to.
Bringing awareness to those thoughts and patterns that are holding you back. It might have a little different flavor for each person, but it'll probably be similar to the distraction, the frustration, control, some of the things we talked about, but get curious on what your own version of that is. Hold space for your vision of what you want and all of the good, confident, exciting things that come with that, and it is reps for your mind, and the rewards allow you to maintain that internal solidity, that internal confidence, and you get to watch your reality rise to meet you there.
Yep. With metacognition and developing an intuition mindset, we go to the gym to work out our bodies, to keep our bodies healthy and sharp and feeling good. We go to metacognition and intuitive practices to keep our mind sharp and feeling good and healthy. So these are all exactly as you said. I love it. Reps for your mind.
If anyone wants more practice with this, we have a lot of upcoming fun workshops and events online at intuitionmindset.com, and we'd love to see you there.
And the things that we've got on intuitionmindset.com, an intuition led emotional intelligence course. So that one is super exciting because we're blending the metacognitive and emotional intelligence principles together. And we're showing people not only are your emotions amazing, but they're the entry point to your entire intuition mindset. Thank you to everybody who's tuning into this podcast. We're getting started. We're learning our language. Your comments and your feedback are super helpful as we mold this process because we want to be helpful to you and where you're at. We want to inspire a big vision through an intuition mindset. And thanks for joining the journey with us.
See you next time.